Okay, so recently one game has been in the news in terms of gacha gaming news, which is Honkai Star Rail. Now, if you don't know, Honkai Star Rail has actually geared up for probably one of the biggest updates in a while, which is the Fate collab alongside obviously the release of Finon and, you know, some other stuff as well coming out alongside that. Now, obviously the big kind of part that people were mostly excited for was the Fate collab, as this is one of the first kind of major collaborations we've seen, at least with Hoyoverse, for a while, if not ever. And you know, people were very happy and very excited to see what they could do with Fate, because Fate is a beloved franchise, people really enjoy it, and well, it seems like they've actually kind of dropped the ball here, and people are not happy in the community in multiple ways. Now, obviously there's been a lot of reports from people saying that the story is pretty bad, including people like Mr. Pokey. Now, if you don't know, Mr. Pokey is probably, I would say, probably one of the biggest Honkai Star Rail creators out there, and essentially, obviously, he is very, very positive about the game. If, you know, let's be real, he is kind of over positive about the game. You know, we see him kind of rating things much higher than a lot of other people do say. And well, you know it's bad whenever Mr. Pokey even rates it pretty bad too. Obviously they say for a HSR event story it was a 7.5 out of 10. For a Fate event story it was 2.8 out of 10. It said, yes, I am really disappointed with the Fate event story. So obviously Mr. Pokey there actually voicing the fact that he was also very disappointed with the story. And I think that that was the major kind of consensus that was, you know, floating around the space, is that people were disappointed with the fact of how much Fate was included in this story in general. And obviously it decided to be, you know, obviously people decided, you know, they didn't like it. And I mean, that's fair enough. I think that, you know, obviously a lot of people didn't like the fact that apparently the Fate characters were just there. I mean, again, I haven't actually played the story myself. I've played a little bit of the event. I actually logged in, claimed my Archer and stuff. And I mean, Archer seems cool. Again, I was a little bit disappointed with the characters, and I'll go into how we can fix that too. But essentially, there's also another thing that the Hoyoverse community pointed out was, as I'm saying, this collab can't get even more worse. Which here's the clip.
French player discovered a strange text next to the French subtitles that said, "Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double check responses." This is a typical disclaimer that shows up after using AI tools, and it pretty much confirms that the French translation was done using Claude AI, which is similar to ChatGPT, and it seems they used the translation version. Now, after this incident, one question arises: are they still using human translators? Well, who knows, but they definitely got caught this time.
So yeah, essentially they got caught during the Fate collab of using AI to do their translations. Now, me personally, I don't really care about AI. I think especially for translation things, I mean, to be fair, translation is a little bit more of a job you can give to someone, but it also is a more tedious job. And to be honest, I don't think it's the end of the world if, you know, someone who, you know, has a translation job kind of gets replaced by AI, because I think AI can do it quicker, and also it can do it, you know, it can do like the kind of work that nobody wants to do. Now, you can still hire people to go over and, you know, proofread it and things like that, as AI translation isn't always the most accurate. So again, you know, it seems like they are using it for the French translation there. Now, obviously though, a lot of the Hoyoverse community are not happy about that, and I think it's very, very funny how they have, you know, started using AI in a lot of this stuff. Whenever we literally went over a post the other day from Cooked by X here, probably one of Hoyoverse's biggest defenders, obviously trying to make it seem like Kuro Games is using like AI, and that's a bad thing or whatever. And then just a couple of days later, it gets exposed that Hoyoverse is also using AI. And I mean, I think it is just one of those things that is just kind of building up in the future, and it's just like, okay, well, what exactly do you want them to do? Obviously, yeah, people saying 1 year in the making. By the way, I said I just think it's really funny to hear the AI voice talking about how Hoyo being caught using AI, which, yeah, it's quite funny. They say this is so unserious. They said, me when I spread misinformation, especially from that Darkos guy. So some people are even coping in the comments right now, saying that it's misinformation. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that is some pretty big information there. I mean, yes, maybe the screenshot itself is doctored, and that could completely be true. But I think if that screenshot is true and it says, you know, retry, Claude can make mistakes, that definitely is AI translation. And obviously this was shared to the Honkai Star Rail platform and it hasn't been taken down. So usually that does mean that there is some validity to it. So again, obviously people say, I think it's just, oh no, they keep going saying, so I'm not even surprised. They said, it's me, I'm the one who posted this. Said first, they didn't add any other Fate servants, muted for an hour and a half in the story, Archers, Unlimited Blade Works not getting animated cutscene, reusing other maps such as Aedis Elysiae as Britain, and not getting a new map or anything using background art. and the story not being long enough, which, yeah, people were just not very happy with it in general. And I mean, the AI stuff is just the kind of icing on the cake. And essentially, yeah, that's what has been going on. I mean, I think, in my personal opinion, the way that I'd fix this and the way that I would have done a Fate collab was trying to include a lot of the actual characters that people know and love. You know, obviously we've had Saber, we had, who else was there? We had Archer, we had Lancer, who, yeah, you know, they're all great characters, but I feel like their characters could have all been done using the summon system, which is, I think, is Remembrance. I think it is Remembrance, which literally just got added. I think it got added as they announced the Fate collab was happening. So again, lots of people were very excited for that, and I think that would have been a very, very cool kind of way to go about it. I think adding characters like Emiya, adding characters like Rin into the game, and then having Saber and Archer as their kind of familiars, as, you know, almost like a, you know, how Remembrance kind of works in the game, but except it's with Archer and Saber. That would have been really, really cool. I think that would have made so much more sense. And also they could have, you know, brought in more characters to do the story and made it more like Fate-like. Whereas, you know, I think it's just kind of fell flat on its face here, and it's not even become very Fate-like at all. It's just, you know, the Fate characters were there in the story, which I think is very disappointing, especially for a lot of Fate fans. I mean, there are so many Fate fans that were very, you know, outraged by this, and they weren't happy with the quality that they got from this story, because again, this was a very, very hyped update that has been planned for like months, like ages. It's been in the works for a very long time, and this is all we got. I mean, it's very, very disappointing. Now, obviously, a lot of people were saying that the characters were fine, you know, they weren't apparently good, but they were okay, you know. Obviously, the characters themselves, I'm pretty sure Archer is like up there in terms of the tier list kind of, you know, power or whatever you want to call it. But in terms of like the design and everything and the animations, apparently, you know, people just thought it was okay. You know, it's not like the best thing, it's not the worst thing. So again, you know, it would have been nice to have something like really, really cool. And as I said, adding characters like Emiya and Rin and adding them into the game and having them have those other characters as their familiars would have been really, really cool to see, as, you know, they pretty much, you know, Honkai Star Rail introduced a summon system and did a collaboration that uses summon systems but didn't use the summon system, which I think is completely beyond me. I don't know why they didn't do that. It seems like a massive oversight on their part. And I even thought up of some ideas for skins as well, which probably could have come out around the same time. For example, we could have had, like, obviously Ilya skill for Clara, as you know, even before the Fate collab even happened, everyone was referring to Clara and Svarog as, you know, Ilya and Berserker, which I think was quite funny. And, you know, that would have been a really cool skill to add to both of those characters. But again, they dropped the ball on that one. They never did that, which I think is pretty disappointing. And you could also had, like, you know, Gilgamesh skins for someone like maybe Aventurine, or even whoever that new character is, My Day. That's it, from My Day. I mean, that would have been really cool for one of those characters as well. And there's so many other options where you could have added skins for characters too, which I thought would have been really, really nice to add, but they never did it. And, well, it seems like this has been a massive failure, which, as someone who's watched all of Unlimited Blade Works, and, you know, even more, I've watched Heaven's Feel, etc., etc., I'm pretty disappointed that this wasn't good enough, you know, because if the reviews were glowing and if the reviews were really, really good, I probably would have came back to the game. I probably would have given it a proper go, and I probably would have actually indulged in the story a little bit. But it seems like, you know, the Honkai Star team just messed up here massively, and even people who really, really like Honkai Star just didn't do a good enough job. But yeah, that's what I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also go to GameStop, use my code KAZA, get 10% off. Again, they got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.